Hello, friends. I hope you have had a wonderful week. It is now Friday. We're going into the weekend. Um, hope that you have some wonderful things planned for your weekend, or you're just big chilling, which is probably what I'll be doing this weekend. My topic for today is regarding pride and humility. Why? Uh, I had I was talking with my roommate the other day, just casual conversation, and she made a comment to me about like how I've been dealing with life, and she's like, I recognize, like I appreciate, like I see like how humble you've been throughout this season of your life. And generally, like when I have conversations with people, like not everything sticks with me. Like I don't overthink our conversations, but like that specific comment like really stuck out to me. And I was like, well, why? And not really so much why, like it was just like, oh, okay, like you see me as humble, you see somebody who has humility. And so like I decided to like have a heart to heart with God. It was just like, God, have I been humble? Like, have I displayed humility in this season of my life, this previous season of my life? Because granted, like I feel like I'm in a different season of life now, especially in regards to like just healing and self-growth. And so like I had that conversation with God the other night. Just like, have I? And like obviously like the opposite of being humble, having humility, is pride. And pride being like one of the seven deadly sins, like just one of those things where it's like, it's good to be prideful, it's not bad to be prideful, but whenever somebody is like overly prideful, like to the point of like being so, like having such a high opinion of themselves, essentially like, I'm great, I'm wonderful, nothing's wrong with me. Whereas like humility is like that, like the definition, like being free from pride and arrogance. And so like as I was like talking with God, and like God brought to mind to me, because I have like studied this concept of pride and humility before, and I feel like this is like the source, like this is like a root thing for myself, or has been a root thing for myself, in regards to like where like my mental health, my spiritual health, where I really started to like, where my downfall really started, where my spiraling, my mental health started spiraling several years ago. And like God brought to mind to me, like when I had first read through the entirety of Job. And if you're not familiar with Job, the story of Job is like really, like it offers a lot of like wisdom and understanding of like who God is in relation to like justice and love. And so at the beginning of Job, it starts out with like Satan in heaven having a conversation with God, and he's like, the whole human race is garbage, like they're all corrupt. And God tells Satan like, well, have you considered my servant Job? Like he loves me, he's a good servant, and he demonstrates all these wonderful godly characteristics, and Satan pretty much like asks God, like, all right, well, if you think this Job guy is so great and wonderful to you, let me test him. Let me test his faith. And God is like, okay, like he gives him permission. He gives Satan permission to mess with Job's life. And so Job, like, he loses his family, like he loses his livestock, his lifestyle. He loses his home, to the point where he is like desolate, like he's lost everything. And through a majority of Job, like he's, in this despair, questioning God, questioning why these things have happened to him. And he has like three buddies come along, three friends, and they try to like have this conversation with Job and like try to comfort him in their own way, which would be considered like not really comforting, because like they were kind of like, well, maybe you deserved this, Job. Like maybe there's like hidden sin in your life or in your children's life or your wife's life that you didn't see, and this is why these things have happened to you. And then towards the end, like he has a fourth friend that comes along and is like, Job, like you're right for the most part in a lot of your like thinking and questioning, but like who are you to question God? Like God is just, and like as humans, like we don't understand the justness of God in his entirety. And then at the end, like Job has like a one-on-one conversation, and God kind of reiterates that to him, like, who are you to question me? Like, I'm God. Like, where were you when I formed the earth, when I gave life form, essentially? And Job is like, you're right. Like, who am I to question you, why you do the things that you do, why you allow the things that you do in somebody's life. And then God like restores to Job all of those things that he had lost. But there was one specific verse, or a couple verses, and then one that really stuck out to me when I initially read through Job several years ago. And it's Job 38, 8 through 11, and it says, who kept the sea inside its boundaries as it burst from the womb, and as I clothed it with clouds and wrapped it in thick darkness? For I locked it behind barred gates, limiting its shores. I said, this far and no farther you will come. Here your proud waves must stop. And then, like that specifically verse 11, like, here your proud waves must stop, like this far no further will you come. And for me, like when I initially like started my own like downfall from like not expressing the things in a healthy manner the way that I needed to, especially in regards to like past mistakes, past sins, those things in the darkness that haven't come to light. And like I really questioned myself, like why is this verse sticking out so much to me? And like I resonated with it like for sure, just because like it's talking about the ocean and the limits of the seas. Like, here your proud waves must stop. Excuse me. Especially because like I resonate so much like with the ocean and the seas and waters and rivers in general. If you watch my last video, like I talked about how like my name means like of the river, or of the sea, of the ocean, or little river. And so like I in a spiritual sense, like to resonate with like things like that. And so like as seeing myself like as of the sea, of the ocean, or being a part of like the water source, in a spiritual sense, like seeing myself as the ocean, and God telling me like, this far and no farther will you come. Here your proud waves must stop. It's like, why are you telling me this, God? Like, why? Like, where do I have pride? Where have I been prideful? What? And at the time, like, I couldn't like fully grasp the understanding of like why I feel like that specific verse spoke to me. And granted, having gone through the things that I have in the last couple of years, like, I understand it more so now and better, like in its completeness. And I don't, for myself, especially in regards to like bringing, the things in the darkness into the light, yeah, like maybe there was a little bit of pride in me, or maybe a lot of pride that I just wasn't recognizing, because I feel like before things started going downhill for myself, like I felt like I was like on an upward trajectory, like I was doing really well, but also maybe being a little too prideful in regards to like my walk with God. And there were things those things that had not yet been brought to the light, those things that I hadn't talked about yet, those sins that I had not yet confessed and repented of. And God, especially in relation to this verse and how I view myself, God was telling me at the time, like, this far and no further. And I've talked about, like, in several videos ago, probably one of my earlier videos, about how like I was on a journey, or like on a path. I don't know. I was just like on a trajectory of like moving up in the church community, in my own church. And I had been like being led, being taught, being mentored, to being in a leadership position, like in a pretty significant leadership position within the church that I was attending at the time. And like I was really excited about that. I mean, I talked about that in a previous video about how, like, this was something outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife, because like that had been like the whole of my identity for so long, and I had finally like worked outside of those labels for myself. Like I had I'd put in the effort and the time and the talent, and my treasures to like build something for myself. And maybe in a sense I was a little prideful about that, and maybe not maybe, I probably was. I definitely was, and I didn't feel like I was at the time, but like now that I look back at it, and I'm just like, oh yeah, Like, you were probably a little prideful about, like, obtaining this title, about obtaining a significant role within the church. Especially since, like, being somebody who was, like, a stay-at-home mom for like 14 years, like, I've never established myself, like, in the, what they would say, what's the word I'm looking for? In the secular world, like having a career, having a job outside of the church, because I feel like for a majority of my adult life and even in my marriage, like, my whole life was centered around church. And not that it was a bad thing, but it definitely left its mark on how I interacted with the outside world, as I interacted with people outside the church, as I viewed the world. And granted, like, that, I know that's, like, not all on me, but at the same time, it was just like, that was the world that I was ingrained in for so long, for so many years, almost to the point where I feel like it really affected me in a negative way. And so when I started on my downfall, when things started to deteriorate between my ex-husband and I was angry because I had been working towards something, and then when we were brought before our church leadership and they were recognizing that things were not going well, our home life was not going well, they asked us to step down from leadership. And essentially, like, it was like this goal, this thing that I had worked so hard for myself, was being, like, just ripped out from underneath me. And so I was angry. A lot of that dealing with my own pride, and also just, like, something that I had worked hard for, made the effort towards, outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife, for myself, was just gone. Like, that opportunity was just not there anymore. And I was sad and I was angry, and I lashed out on my husband, on my ex-husband, and I lashed out emotionally, even with my own words, like, towards the church, towards the leadership. And I can understand, like, especially in regards to, like, this verse, like, this far and no further you will come, here your proud waves must stop. Like, God knew, even if I didn't at the time, and, like, I understand it now, like, God knew that there were things that I had not dealt with internally yet, things that I had not talked about yet, things that needed to be dealt with before He would take me to the next level of living this life with Him. And so when I look back at this verse now, like, I can understand it. I can see how God was like, this far and no further. You've got things you need to deal with. Here your proud waves must stop. Like, I'm not gonna put you in a leadership position. I'm not going to let you lead other people. I'm not going to allow you to go past this point in your walk with me until you've dealt with these things, until you have fully healed from these things that you're too afraid to talk about. And obviously, like, I feel like my fear was very valid, especially in regards to how others have reacted, especially my ex-husband and his family, and how they view me now, how my ex-husband reacted when I did share these things with him. Like, that fear was genuine, like that fear was real and valid. And granted, he made the choices that he made in regards to me and that information that I shared with him, and I made my own choices. And I feel like the last 2 years, especially this last year, like, I was probably very much in a rebellious state of mind, like, screw you, God. Just very angry at God and very angry at myself as well. And, you know, anger is a secondary emotion to sadness, and I was very sad. I was very depressed. I was very much in despair over how, after I finally did bring those things in my life that were in the dark into the light, and how people reacted towards me afterwards. And I have people in my life. My circle of people in my life now is definitely much smaller than it used to be. But I have been able to talk about things, talk out things that I have done without judgment, without ridicule, without rejection, without that fear of abandonment. Like, I've been heard, I've been understood, and I've been comforted in the way that I feel like I should have been comforted by those that were in my circle before. And with being able to, like, share those parts of myself in a safe space, that's allowed me to heal. That's allowed me to be okay and be comfortable around other people again. I feel like I have dealt with my pride. I've dealt with my fear, especially where a lot of things have gone down in the last year for myself. Those worst case scenarios. What was I gonna say? In regards to those, like, worst case scenarios. Oh, my mind just went blank. Give me a second. You know, like, when we have those thoughts of, like, the worst has already, like, is yet to come, like, the worst, what I imagine for myself, and what I'm able to endure, what God will allow to happen in my life, like, those worst case scenarios have already happened in my life. that rejection, that abandonment, that betrayal, like all of those fears, like they've already happened to me. And did I deal with those things in a healthy way initially? No. But being in the season where I am now, of really focusing internally, focusing on my healing, not just mentally and emotionally, but spiritually as well, and gaining that trust in God again. Like the worst has already happened for myself, and now I'm working from that. I am on the other side of that, and hopefully, and granted, I don't see myself as Job because I know I'm not perfect. I have not always been a good servant. But I know I'm at a better place, a much better place, much mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthy place than where I used to be. And hopefully, prayerfully, God has me on a trajectory of like just it's all uphill from here, and not in like a tedious kind of way, but I'm on an upward trajectory towards God. And I'm trusting the process that He has for me in regards to just my personal healing, and then also the healing of those that I have hurt along the way. that pride within me has been squashed. And I've been able to recognize where I have fallen short, where I have missed the mark, and like what my friend told me the other day, my roommate, like I just want to remain humble. I want to remain not acting out, not acting in ways that are contrary to how God wants me to act or behave. I'm on my best behavior. I'm still healing, still working through things, but I know internally in my soul, in my spirit, that I'm doing so much better today than I was several years ago, or a couple years ago, or even last year. And I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for God. Even though for a minute maybe I walked away from God or was just ignoring Him. And even now, like still, working through everything as far as like what I believe in my faith and all of that. I have that divine protection. I have that I have those wings, those angels' wings, that hedge of protection around myself. And even though the process might be slower than I want it to be, God's got my back. And I'm trusting the process. It's okay. Like, it's okay if you're still struggling yourself, or if you're still uncertain, or any of it. Like, God's gonna walk with you through it 100% of the way. You just have to trust in Him and trust in the process. And even if the process is a little painful, like, He has something better for you on the other side. And not just God, but myself as well. Like, I'm here to walk with you through it. You're not alone. I'm finally, like, getting to the point where I am feeling a bit more confident in these videos and in sharing. And so if you stuck with me this far, like the video, share the video, whether it resonates with you or you feel like it might resonate with somebody else that you know. Share. Subscribe as well. Once I get to the point of having 50 subscribers, I can go live, which is a goal of mine. But also, again, like with what I've said at the very beginning of the year, like, I just want to be able to, like, share my story in the hopes that my walk with God will help encourage somebody else in their own walk with God. And so by you sharing, by you liking, by you subscribing, you know, that'll change the algorithm within YouTube, and more people will be able to watch my videos, see my videos. And even if I don't even meet the people, because I can't see who my subscribers are, it just tells me how many I have. And even if I don't ever meet you or talk to you, I just know, like, that God's going to speak through me. God's going to use me to help you or help somebody else. And, like, we're all in this together. And so, like, share, subscribe, all the things. And I will greatly appreciate it, and so will God. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend. And I will probably be making a couple more videos this weekend. I have so many things that I've just, God's put on my mind, but I only have so much time in the day to focus on this. Hopefully God will allow me to, like, be more diligent with my time management. So yeah, have a great night. I love you, friends. Peace out.